I love saxophone. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I just watched Whiplash the other night. Good movie. Actually, I saw a video. Maybe I'll watch that real quick. That was like talking about it, reviewing Whiplash by a jazz musician. Not quite my tempo. God, this movie is fucking brutal. This movie is hard. Okay. This movie is fucking rough, dude. You're watching and you're just like, oh, is this like real?
So I know that.
Oh wait. Who took the folder? Alright, we're gonna watch this one first and then this one.
I wanted to make a video. I wanted to focus on a particular moment in the film, something that I feel like might have kind of been slightly overlooked. The film doesn't actually even address it. It leaves the viewer kind of wandering through filmic oceans of ambiguity. And what I'm tuning my snare drum to, or what I'm getting at, is who took the folder?
This is facts. It's literally like a
Let's do quick
second.
little recap. Whiplash follows
My guess, chat, is that J.K. Simmons took the folder, right? Who else would take the folder? It never comes up again. Like, in the scene, he throws it down on the chair. He goes, gets the thing. Like, no one, like, you know, like, I don't know. Has to be J.K. Simmons, right? I don't see any other impactful answer to who took the folder other than J.K. Simmons took the folder. That's the only impactful answer. So it has to be him.
Now, here's what I think really happened. I think Fletcher took the file. Even though Damien
Duh.
Chazelle, the director, never fully addresses who took it, I feel like he would have left us a clue. Something that would go undetected, under the radar for the most part. The folder's gone, and both Andrew and Tanner are freaking out. Fletcher's unpredictability is personally what creeped me out the most watching this for the first time. I initially thought Fletcher was going to get abusive again, but he doesn't. He actually gets, by his standards, he stays relatively calm.
Yes.
Andrew hardly gets any of the blame. Fletcher puts all the blame and most of the responsibility onto Tanner.
It is Tanner's fault.
As he's blaming him for the folder being gone. But then he asks Tanner to play anyway, and Tanner says he can't. Andrew says he can. Andrew gets the part. Then he's the new core drummer. Yay, but where was this clue I'm talking about? Well,
He says, I know what the clue is. He says, you know, I can't. He knows, J.K. Simmons' character knows that Tanner, the guy on the right here, needs his sheet music. He knows he needs it. That he can't play without it. He says, like, you know, I need it or whatever. You know, like, I need for mental, like, visual cues or whatever, you know? So that's going to be the clue. I could have done this fucking video. Sheesh.
Tanner tells Fletcher that he has a sort of medical condition and that he needs visual clues. He can't play without the sheet music. Whereas Andrew
Bingo.
didn't need the sheet music, and that was why he eventually got the part. He needs the sheet. He needs these visual cues. And what makes it interesting is while he's explaining this to Fletcher, he actually says, "I need visual clues. You know this." Now I think that's the clue. That if they had left us one, I think that might have been it. The fact that he said to Fletcher, "You know this," this tells us that Fletcher knows that he needs visual clues, which means Fletcher would have known if the file was missing.
This is a great
and
shot.
He had anticipated Andrew learning the
And then
music.
the blood goes
would
into
have
it.
come down to Andrew playing the song. And since the whole film is him trying to push Andrew because he sees something in Andrew, this theory makes a lot of sense to me. Now, whoever really took the folder still remains a mystery, but until an official explanation is given, to me, taking the folder was just another extension.
Okay. Yeah, sure. We'll give it a like. You know, good work. Appreciate your work. Thank you for letting me. Everyone, Existential Delight. You can check out his video if you want to watch it yourself, or check out more of his channels. He's probably got some good videos on here. We can check some more stuff out later. I'll leave it up. I'll look at it some more. But yeah, that was pretty obvious who took it, if anyone did, or if, whatever. That makes sense. All right, let's see what this guy's to say. I'm gonna have a lot more to say about this guy's video because he's gonna actually talk about the movie, and like, again, it's a good movie, and then the end is just so kind of bad. Honestly, a great movie that got jazz wrong a million subtle ways. Let's find out how it got jazz wrong. Review from a jazz musician, not a person is talking about the movie, and then I could talk about the movie because I could talk about how the movie got some things weird and stuff, and you could talk about the jazz, and it'll be a nice little good little combo of commentary. I think. Hit it with a like.
So I know that this is coming like 4 years too late, but until recently, I was a jazz musician who had never seen the movie Whiplash. So in order to rectify this, I watched the movie for the very first time in one of the jazziest places that I know of in New York City,
Washington Square Park.
Since up until now it's the only portrayal of jazz education in popular culture, I
Why?
get asked all the time if my experience at jazz school mirrors that of
Why would he watch it in Washington Square Park? Washington Square Park's not one of the jazziest places in New York. Go to like Fat Cat or something. Like there's jazz lounges and stuff. Like literally one of the most famous jazz lounges in the world is in Midtown. Like what? You know, I mean, I guess like sure, Washington Square Park. Go in the subway where someone's literally sitting there playing jazz. I mean, I guess there's music at Washington, whatever.
the experience is portrayed in Whiplash. And
Doubt this guy's a real
after
New
watching
Yorker.
the movie, which is brilliantly acted and shot and directed, I can safely say that no. The small, somewhat insular, and idiosyncratic world of jazz and higher education does not look the way that it does in the film, although it certainly looks like it could be that way. J.K. Simmons plays Terrence Fletcher, the tyrannical band leader at the fictional New York City jazz school, the Schaefer Conservatory. His abuse of a young jazz drummer who is hungering for greatness, Andrew Neiman, played by Miles Teller, looks real, or at least it feels real because of the amazing acting, but there are some things which feel slightly off. Buckle in for an incredibly pedantic review coming from yours truly, an academically trained jazz musician. Part 1, what the movie got right. So
Okay.
there's a degree of verisimilitude here because of the people working on this project. Miles Teller, in fact, is actually a pretty competent drummer.
Yeah.
The script is
Oh my god,
somewhat
that's so cool. I want to watch it again. He did all the drumming himself.
here
That's
because
crazy.
of the people working on this project. Miles Teller, in fact, is actually a pretty competent drummer. The script is somewhat autobiographical.
That's crazy.
Writer-director Damien Chazelle played drums in a competitive high school jazz ensemble with a very strict band director, so the script gets some oddly specific things right, like the lingo that some band directors use. This includes the lower tiers band director saying, "Put some sugar on that," as he's rehearsing the reeds,
Bottom, yeah. Put some sugar on it.
meaning that he wants some more swagger in the articulation. Or Fletcher saying, "2 bars for free,"
2 bars for free.
meaning that he'll count off 2 measures before the band's entrance. These sorts of things can only come from playing in a jazz band. Even little things like the way that Fletcher refers to trombones as bones in a staccato inflection.
Bones.
That certainly sounds right to me. Other little things
Bones.
like Fletcher getting really upset at people leaving their folders around.
If I ever find one of these lying around again, I swear to God, I will
Base God.
stop being so polite.
Is a very real thing. This will send all band directors into a fit of rage because sheet music is expensive and nobody wants to pay for students' carelessness.
That's
the building
cool.
of the fictional Schaefer Conservatory looks old and crummy. They certainly nailed the look. That's how my alma mater, Manhattan School of Music, kind of looks.
Okay.
The scene where Andrew's extended family doesn't really get Andrew's obsession for music as well as his accomplishments definitely rings true for a lot of musicians. I actually felt
Artists
that
in
that scene
general,
was
sure.
the most emotionally accurate portrayal of anything in the entire film. And there's still other really oddly specific details that the movie got right, like handwriting in the various subdivisions of 7/4 on the drum chart for the titular piece Whiplash. Nobody would know this fine detail of musicianship unless you actually had to play the piece of music, like writer-director Damien Chazelle did when he was in high school.
Some of the pieces of the music in the movie were pieces that I played myself as a drummer, Whiplash, Caravan. So those were kind of starting points in a way.
What starts to take me
That's
out
cool.
of the movie, though, are the little details that the movie just kind of gets wrong. Part 2, what the movie got mildly wrong.
Mildly
the whole
wrong,
movie
okay.
feels like Damien Chazelle is remembering the general gist of jazz culture, but only through the haze of the memory of his experiences in high school. Like, for example, this guy. This guy does not look like a jazz musician. He looks like a high school jock. There is this guy, however. He does look like a jazz musician. He's decked out in jazz normcore attire, but he's wearing a bass backpack case in New York City.
How you gonna like hit on someone like that guy's kind of supposed to be the jock bully looking guy like that? Like I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Little
Nobody wears
nitpicky
those.
on
Everybody
it.
uses
That's
wheels
nitpick.
because they're alive. Then when Fletcher is
Okay.
menacing the band, he keeps referencing a, quote, out-of-tune player.
Out of tune player here.
The phrase would be probably somebody is playing out of tune. Then, of course, there's this chestnut.
So he's really nitpicking like like how that's like just how someone talks though. Like that's not you're saying like every fucking jazz musician. No, there's no jazz musician who would look like that guy who just doesn't dress like a fucking like normie, like that other dude who had whatever like jazz whatever the fuck what did he say the type of clothes was like what? And yeah, obviously he looks more like he has a bass on his back. What is the guy with the drumstick supposed to do? Carry the drum set on his back? What is what? What are you talking about?
All of these moments have the cumulative effect
fair.
of, say, an American actor speaking in kind of a bad British accent.
Far from my heart that burns with passion.
They're all kind of unintentionally funny. It's made more frustrating by the fact that the movie got a lot of things.
That's a really good analogy. Because it's like, as someone who, you know, knows it's an American person doing a English accent, or like a British person doing an American accent, you can hear them slipping sometimes and stuff like that, because I'm familiar with that. So that makes sense now when the way he's talking about it, how it like just kind of takes him out a bit of it. Like my homie will be like, if we're watching something with Andrew Garfield or like a Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland, and there's a little slip there, he'll be like, oh, yeah, I noticed that. You know, I don't really notice it too much, but like, he'll like, yeah, I heard that. Like, kind of took me out for a sec, you know. So I get that now. That makes a lot of sense. That to him, this lingo is another, you know, like it's another accent basically that these guys are just slipping up a little bit on here and there, you know.
Things almost right. Part more frustrating by the fact that the movie got a lot of things almost right. Part 3, what the movie got, like, almost right. This modern practice suggests that you count off everything in 4/4, no matter the time signature, just to avoid that kind of confusion. That confusion actually exists in the movie during the abusive rushing, dragging scene, where Andrew gets confused and is counting in 7 briefly, but Fletcher then insists that he counts in 4.
Start counting.
5, 6, 7.
In 4, damn it! Look at me!
Anyway, none of this so far, none of it really affects anything.
Interesting. Also, I mean, just you can't have he counts off so much. You can't have him counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and like every time he does it in a movie. So that's another understandable like cut to just do 5, 6, and you know.
Plot in any sort of meaningful way. It's all
I'm learning a lot
been,
though.
You know, like astrophysicists complaining about Interstellar or whatever. Most of us really just don't care. We just want to enjoy the movie on its own storytelling merit. I apologize for what has effectively been the jazz equivalent of Neil deGrasse Tyson complaining about every science fiction movie ever. So let's move beyond.
Wow. I mean, this guy kind of just like compared himself to Neil deGrasse Tyson, just said he's the Neil deGrasse Tyson of jazz music.
So let's move beyond the surface level. Let's talk about the character of Terrence Fletcher. Are the tough love elements in Terrence Fletcher's teaching really there in modern jazz conservatories? Part 4, Terrence Fletcher.
I've heard they are.
Terrence Fletcher.
I've sort of learned that at least with this generation, or maybe the last 2 or 3 years of students, to have like a tough love mentality, but from a removed perspective, and I don't actually implement it upon them. I'll tell them my tough love stories that I had, so that way they can avoid it.
Obviously not probably as fucking ridiculous. I mean, he's slapping the kids and shit like that. Their hands are bleeding and stuff. You know, like they're there till fucking they call in at 9. They start finally after like at 2. Like, you know, that's obviously exaggerated for film and whatnot and storytelling and stuff. But there's definitely some of that shit going on.
The abusive mentor who
Can avoid it.
Terrence Fletcher is a useful storytelling trope. The abusive mentor who will stop at absolutely nothing from drawing greatness from his students.
I will never apologize for how I tried.
But the concept of chairs is used by the movie Whiplash to emphasize the theme of competition.
Jackson,
Okay.
congratulations, your 4th chair. Mets, why are you still sitting there? Get the f out!
And there's a lot of competition happening, not only among the students, but it also seems like the jazz band is entering a lot of competitions. Fletcher says,
Everybody remember, Lincoln Center and its ilk use these competitions to decide who they're interested in and who they're not.
it's like they're athletic talent scouts.
I mean-
searching the collegiate circuit for new blood, like for the NCAA or
That definitely like I think resonates more with like probably this guy's high school band where they were doing a lot of competitions and stuff, trying to get recognized by colleges and things like that, you know.
whatever. That's not how it works. New York City collegiate jazz ensembles don't enter competitions all the time. They gig. They play concerts. In fact, they sometimes play concerts as featured artists at Lincoln Center. What made me truly think that this movie is a sports movie, and kind of a mean-spirited one at that, are the ridiculous practice scenes. Not only the ones where Andrew is playing, I guess, so much and so fast his hands start to bleed and he punches through his snare drum, but also the round robin scene where Fletcher verbally abuses his three drummers into playing faster, I guess.
That's his fucking
people think practicing
vinegar
is?
stroke.
Is this what people think jazz school is? I know the point in these scenes is to show the physical nature of music.
I did want this movie to kind of flirt with the ideas of physical violence and the sort of physical toll.
But if you're hurting yourself while you're practicing, you're not going to get any better. Bottom line.
Let me tell you, though, as a drummer, when I was in rock band camp, we were the only fucking group that was exercising during our individual group practice. Like, we'd start the day and end the day with just your own instrument group, and we were the only ones that would have to do push-ups and wall sits and get punished and stuff. Like, I always think back to fucking Drumline when they're doing wall sits with their drumsticks out and they're like in the rain and stuff. I will say it's definitely different for drummers than if you're a different musician. Like, there's a big physical aspect of it, so I understand that.
Why? Practice in itself is a slow and deliberate thing. It can be meditative, but it can also be super boring to watch. Yeah. This gets me to
That's
my final
bass,
point,
though.
which matters the most for me personally. And I think the thing that the movie Whiplash gets the most wrong about young people studying music today. Part 8. Music is, like, fun. The great jazz drummer Peter Erskine wrote a review of the movie Whiplash that includes a quote that I think is most relevant to what I want to say on this matter. I'm disappointed that any viewer of the film will not see the joy of music making that's almost always a part of large ensemble rehearsals and performances. Musicians make music because they love music. None of that is really apparent in the film, in my opinion.
I actually fully agree. I think one of the reasons why I dislike the end so much, and I get like so basically like the end of the movie is him being like he never accomplished making his Charles Barker or whatever. He never accomplished that. He never made his guy. He never pushed someone hard enough to become that. He almost did with this one guy, but he killed himself because of trauma and stuff that this fucking dude, Terrence Fletcher, probably did to him, and that's like the whole end of why he got kicked out and stuff and all that. And then the end is like almost glorifies what he did and justifies what he did because Miles Teller's character, Andrew, comes out and plays amazingly, and he has that moment and it's like, it's so fucked because in the end, he's like, after all that abuse and stuff, he's like justifying him to his face after he just put him through humiliation on stage, made him play with a live band without any music, like, and it's him being like, fuck you, I told you I'm good enough and I can do it. But he's also like, I'm your guy, I'm your Charles. Like, it's such a sick fucking dynamic that like really made me like, like I hate this. Like that, like this is the story and this is the message or whatever. And it's also just so silly and like, I guess supposed to be like intense and serious and stuff. But really, if they had put a scene in where they're in practice and it's just give me one good practice. Give me one good time where they're playing music and he's fucking, yes, that was amazing. That was amazing. That was amazing. Boom. Good job today. Like something like that. You just give me like one scene where they get through a song and he's fucking happy and glad about it. And it's like a good vibe. That would have actually done a lot for the movie, I think. I really actually think about that. I haven't thought about that before, but just like one scene where you're lightening up a little bit and giving us like some good like creativeness and like you do show that like this is actually something good and there's a reason for this, because otherwise it's just like this fucking crazy guy and this like abusing this other somewhat crazy dude also, or like very susceptible guy. Like, I don't know, it's like you do need something that's a little rewarding. You have to show that these people like that they care a little bit more about the actual music. I do agree, because in the end, it's just like all I care about is being the best, and like it just happens to be about music. You know, it is this competition movie instead of like this movie about music. I totally feel that. I totally feel that. It's a good point. Give us a scene of him talking to the girl, his fake girlfriend. Give us a scene when they're talking and they're on their first date where he's just like cheesing out, talking about like a whole bunch of music and like geeking out and stuff. Like that would have been really fucking good.
And narratively, yeah, I get it. I understand why certain choices were made. But remember, Whiplash is the only portrayal of jazz education in popular culture. It's the only one. At least Neil deGrasse Tyson has thousands and thousands of sci-fi.
I mean, I guess like Howl isn't really popular. Is it the only jazz? I mean, you have Will Ferrell from Anchorman and his Jazz flute. Maybe. Damn, yeah, it really is. That's tough. It's unfortunate. I guess, I mean, this was what? You have good music, though. Like, good music movies. I was going to say Soul, kind of. Soul's kind of there. I don't know.
Movies to pick apart. So I think that it's important to pick out fact from fiction in a piece of media like this when it's dealing with a specific culture. To be fair, I very much enjoyed the movie on its own merits. I just wanted to share my 2 cents on the matter for whatever they're worth. Whiplash, for me, was a great movie with excellent direction, just tight, exciting, amazing, but it got jazz kind of wrong.
Yeah, I mean, Whiplash was really, really great. That was a good review. Again, I think like it is interesting to think this is the only like intro to music. If someone was watching this and thinking like, oh, maybe I want to go do music, do jazz, like this wouldn't make me want to do jazz. Like the drumming is cool, I used to drum, so like I really enjoyed watching it, and like man, the drums just got me like feeling some type of way again, you know. But like that's tough. This is it's a hard movie. It's a hard movie. Good review though. I think it got he made a lot of really good points. There were some nitpicks that were just kind of like very clearly, I think he understood it's like, well, this is a movie, you know, and that's why they did it. Which is like very, very good. I think it was a fantastic review. Really, really good review. From a musician, especially because like he didn't necessarily touch on the points that I did right, like talking about the movie more. But he definitely acknowledged all the things I think that I was talking about, and like, you know, understood the movie parts of it as well, just as well as he does like the jazz parts of it too. He just didn't really talk about it. So really, really good stuff there. But hey, it is just about 8 o'clock, which means I have just a little bit until I gotta get this poker game going, which means I'm going to head out. Oh, big stretch. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I sure did. As always, hope have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, wherever and whenever you are. Hope you're staying positive. Your company's been appreciated, and I will catch you next time. It's your boy, The Bosco, here at twitch.tv/TheBosco. Peace out.